Hey everybody, Ryan here from Brand Pan Media. Here today to do a 50-mile review video on the Co-op DRT 1.1. Let's get into it. Co-op is a brand by REI, and the DRT 1.1 is their entry-level mountain bike. And the reason I bought it is because I've spent most of my life growing up with bikes and doing motocross. I moved to Austin, Texas about 2 years ago, and I've always wanted to get out on the trails. Got a really good park system here and a ton of trails. So I pulled the trigger on getting a mountain bike, but I didn't want to spend $1,000, $2,000. And after looking around, I decided on the REI for a couple of reasons, but mainly because it was an entry-level bike and because I'm familiar with REI down here, buy a lot of equipment from them. They have a stellar 1 year, 100% satisfaction guarantee. So if anything were to go wrong with the bike, I could take it back to the shop near me and get a 100% refund, no questions asked. So for someone looking to get into mountain biking, this was a huge selling point for me. And the price. So this bike was listed at $550. With the REI dividend that I had, I ended up getting it for $400, which is a pretty good deal for this bike, I think. And that would be the main reasons that I bought this bike originally. So with that in mind, let's talk about some of the pros and cons that I noticed after 50 miles of riding this bike. And disclaimer, there's definitely more than 50 miles on this bike. I started using the Strava app about a week or two in, and right now I'm actually about 65 miles at the time of making this video. So the bike is probably at about 70, 75 miles, but still I think a 50-mile review is acceptable. So the first thing we'll go over is the pros. As I mentioned, I bought it from REI, so I have the 100% satisfaction guarantee, the price, and so all of that rolls into the pros. Another pro is the durability of this bike. After having it for roughly 70 miles, riding it on the trails around here, they're pretty chunky, they're pretty dry, they're pretty gritty. I would say this bike has stood up really well. It's taken all I can throw at it. 6'2", 185 pounds. So this is a 27.5 large model. So that was what they recommended for my size. And after riding it, I don't feel like it's diminishing in any way. I haven't noticed any cracks. I haven't noticed really any chipping in areas that you wouldn't expect. So the durability of the frame and most of the components, I'd say, are up there and good for the price. Another pro, the bike just gets the job done. I'm not going to say it's the quickest bike out there. I'm not going to say it's the best or the smoothest, but if you do just want a bike that'll get you down the hill and you want an entry-level bike, I would say this bike definitely does that. It will get you from point A to point B. You're going to hear some rattling. It's going to be a little stiff. It's going to be a little tough. Not much forgiveness on it, but it does get the job done. Okay, so next thing we're going to talk about is the cons, and this is probably what most people are interested in a 50-mile review video, and also going to talk about upgrades. So those kind of go hand in hand. What were the cons and then what need to be upgraded? So the first con to mention is this is an entry-level bike, so with any entry-level bike you're going to get lower-end components. So the shifting, the drivetrain, they're all Shimano Tourney, which is a pretty lower-end component. They get the job done, as I've mentioned, but they're, like I said, lower-end components. So the braking, nothing super powerful. The brake pads are pretty good. They've lasted, I would say, they're still have more than half a life on them. So after roughly 70 miles, they've still got half a life. So the brake pads are pretty good. I use those a lot. Both rear and front are still pretty tight when you get to them, so they'll lock up pretty good. The drivetrain is pretty rattly. You do have a 3 gear in the front and and 7 in the back. So you do have that. It's not going to be a one by like most of the higher end bikes, so you do have that extra weight there. The shifting itself, I've done the tuning on it many times. It does feel like after a while it starts to wear out or loosen up, so you will have to do that, you know, every couple rides, get it dialed in again. Other than that, the components to go with that, the shock, it comes with a Suntour XCM, which really isn't meant for mountain biking or BMX. It's more of just a shock to make the bike feel plush and go over certain bumps. So even though I've been using it for mountain biking, going over a lot of tough terrain, rocky terrain, chunky stuff, it's really not made for that. So eventually I will have to either upgrade this fork or just deal with the fact that it's just completely worn out. I have not upgraded the fork yet, just because most forks that I'm looking at are going to be just as expensive as the bike, and it's not really making that upgrade. The next component is the wheels. I noticed at about mile 50, all the knobs on the wheels were basically completely worn out. They also come with, it's 27.5, so you get a 27.5, a 2.125 width wheel on the front and back. Those are Kendra wheels. Like I said, after about 50 miles, those had pretty much worn out to bald. A little disclaimer, here in Austin, we live in a drier environment. A lot of the trails are pretty gritty, have fine sand. So that may be a factor of why they wore out so much quicker. We don't really have that loamy, soft dirt that you'll find in other parts of the country. So I did upgrade to the Minion DHR2 on the back and the Minion DHF in the front. Both of those I'm running a 2.5 on both ends. So I did upgrade to about ½ an inch in width on each rim, and they do run tubes, but the rim has actually been able to fit them nicely. I've ridden them both for about 10 miles and haven't really noticed anything wonky. So if you do want to upgrade the tires, you can go up to, I've gone up to 2.5 and haven't noticed anything wrong. So that's one of the upgrades I made. Another upgrade obviously is the pedals. Standard pedals that come on are just plastic and pretty crappy. So one of the first things I upgraded was to these stamp pedals. Pretty standard upgrade. Another thing that I upgraded, I guess I'll call it an upgrade, but was the chain guard. So the chain guard that comes with it is basically just a sticker. So what I did is, being that it's coronavirus time, most of the chain guards that I wanted to get were either sold out or would take a long time to ship. So what I did is just go to Home Depot and get some like Gorilla Tape, put that on the chassis right where the chain hits, and it's thick, it's cushiony, gets the job done. Didn't want to spend too much money on a chain guard. And then the last thing that I needed to upgrade for a component that's kind of lower end was the seat post lip lock. So that actually ended up breaking on me after tightening it. I don't really think I was tightening it too hard. I just think the component was a bit cheap, so it broke on me, and I had to upgrade to a Salsa lip lock. Other than that, not much has really gone wrong with the bike. My overall review is that if you're a beginner looking to get into mountain biking, you don't know whether you're gonna like it a lot, whether you're gonna be good at it, and you just want to get an entry-level bike, I would definitely recommend going with REI, getting one of the co-op bikes. They can definitely handle what you throw at it for the most part. I mean, I don't know where you're riding, but it's pretty techy, chunky stuff. Go watch some of my videos, see what I'm riding. If you're riding something like that, the bike can definitely handle it. Again, I'm 6'2", 185 pounds, so I'm definitely putting some weight on this bike. That 100% satisfaction guarantee over a year will give you that peace of mind. Another disclaimer, I've actually decided after about 2 months of riding this bike that I needed to upgrade. So I do have a YT Jeff C base coming in the next month. So, like I said, if you want to get into entry-level mountain biking, you want to see if you like it, this is a good bike for you. Understand that it won't last forever. So it may get you in, but if you realize you want to be better, you want to do harder trails, that you're probably going to need to upgrade. So yeah, that's my review of the REI DRT 1.1. Let me know if I missed anything. Hit up the comments below. Ask me some other questions if I missed any. And I hope you enjoy the video. Check out some of my other stuff.